welcome back. So here's a question for you. Are you having trouble with finances? Are you having trouble understanding the world of finance? Well, can you imagine what your kids are going through? Understanding finance is an education. Are there educators out there to help us learn about finance? Oh, yes, there are. My name is Dacquino. Her name is Lisa Ferry. Lisa, talk to us about who you are, and what you do.
Well, thanks for having me, Vin.
Pleasure.
I am Lisa Ferry, and what I've done for the past 12 years is I've been a library assistant in the Kent Public Library. And a few years ago, my husband's Social Security number was used to file a fraudulent tax return.
Uh-oh.
And that sent our credit reports absolutely crazy with fraudulent, all sorts of fraudulent information. And we didn't know what to do. We're in an absolute panic. And luckily, I had a friend who is a real estate investment coach, and so he knows a lot about credit. And I was talking to him on the phone regarding the situation, and he said, Lisa, you need FES right away. And I said, Randy, I've never heard of that. I don't know what that is. And he explained to me what FES stands for is Financial Education Services. And in conjunction with United Credit Education Services, they not only help people get their credit back on track and get their finances on track and get on a budgeting system and teach them what it takes to maintain that information. They teach you really all the ins and outs that we don't learn about the credit system.
So many ins and outs.
There are. We're all subject to this credit reporting system that's run by the 3 credit bureaus, Experian, TransUnion, and Equifax. And they give them that name bureaus, which almost makes them sound like they're government agencies.
Yeah.
They're not. They're billion-dollar companies that decide what our interest rates are.
Gatekeepers, financial gatekeepers.
Exactly. And not only your interest rates, but do you know you have an insurance score? And your insurance rates depend not only on whether or not you've made claims and whether or not you make your payments on time, but it also depends on your credit score. And these are things that I did not know before I got involved with FES. And I was so satisfied as a customer that I was just telling everybody, friends, family, about the company. And when I was talking to Randy, he said, Lisa, you know, you're the perfect advocate for the company. Why don't you get paid to talk about the company?
Mm-hmm.
And
so it was a matter of getting educated.
It was a matter of educating myself first, and then because education is a passion of mine, having worked in the library system for so long, I started doing credit workshops in the local library. So I do them in the Kent Library where I work. I've done them in Brewster. I've done them in Somers. So I'm trying to reach out into the community to get this information out there. Absolutely, yes,
wow,
absolutely.
Free workshops, that's wonderful.
Yes. So, and as I got comfortable doing that, I started talking about our nonprofit organization, which is the Youth Financial Literacy Foundation. And what they do is, instead of teaching adults about this information, we go into schools with children ages, grades, 5 through 9, and we teach them these basics of personal finance that you don't learn in school.
Like how to write a check and
absolutely
how
to balance a bank statement or a checkbook. What it takes.
A lot of that's online.
Correct. What it takes to build and maintain an excellent credit score, how to budget. So we have online information for children as well as adults on how to budget, because it's very scary. At the moment, unfortunately, the ages 18 through 24 are the folks who are filing for bankruptcy more and more often.
Yeah.
And part of the problem is that these kids are coming out of college with enormous student loans.
Yeah, it doesn't hurt, it doesn't help. When I was working as a director of teacher training, one of the frustrating things is that these new teachers were coming out of college with $40,000 debt and getting $38,000 jobs, and
Yep.
it just didn't cover. And then, to top it off, they were given 5 years to get their master's degree, which was more money.
Correct.
And now they have to live, and they have to pay their bills. Rents were ridiculous. So unless they were living at home, it was almost impossible to be able to feed themselves, pay their rent, and pay back these huge loans.
It's true. And what I love about the Youth Financial Literacy Foundation is not only do they go into schools and they teach, but another portion of the program is their scholarship program. So, for example, our application period for the YFL scholarship program is coming to a close. It's on December 15th.
Wow.
And in February of 2019, we'll be giving away $350,000
Whoa.
to students all across the country. It'll be divided up among 55 students.
55 students, but that's not
So-
bad. I thought you were going to tell me 350 students.
No, it's a wonderful program, and as the company grows, so does the YFL, which is a wonderful thing.
And these are instructors who go out and teach about finance.
Well, what we do is we have advocates who go into the school system, and we present them the material. The schools get the workbooks for free. For every
So it's a curriculum, basically.
It is. It's an 8-week curriculum, and it's facilitated by the teachers. So our rep goes in, gives out the workbooks, and gives the outline. The teachers work with the students on the curriculum, and then our advocate comes back at the end of the program, and we have a party for the kids. They get certificates, and for every 35 students who are in the program at the time, we donate $500 to the school.
Wow.
Per-
Is it part of the math program?
It is.
Or
It is a separate program. We often find that it's usually PTAs who are our advocates who want us to come into the schools because they want their children to
So
learn
it could
this
be an
information.
after-school program or a lunch program?
It's
or
usually
it
it's
could
usually
be
done within
the curriculum?
the curriculum, but a lot of the workbook stuff gets done at home. So
Okay.
they talk about it in class, work on it at home, bring
So
it
then
in the
you
next
also
day.
help the teachers understand how to
Correct. Yes. So we have a whole curriculum for the
get into
teachers.
program. Yeah.
Yes.
Wow, fascinating.
Yeah.
So what are some of the key factors of the program? I mean, what are the things that these kids need to take away from?
As you mentioned, balancing a checkbook, just learning what a checkbook is.
Yeah.
Some of the kids in the program have never had a bank account before.
Ever.
Don't know anything about that.
Do you help them get a bank account? Or encourage them at least to do it?
It's encouraged. Yes, it's encouraged. They're taught how to budget. So we have an online budgeting program where they can learn how to manage money. They learn about saving. And again, they learn about what a credit score is built
Some
on.
of the children don't even understand the idea of taxes.
Correct.
That they go in and something costs $5.98, but you're not going to pay $5.98. You know, that you have to be able to add those taxes, and you have to understand that they're all part of it.
Right. And another thing that's sometimes they don't know because they've never dealt with a credit card before is interest.
Oh yeah.
You know, how do you not get yourself in trouble with credit cards? That's another issue that we bring up.
I mean, many of them just believe that something like a debit card, you just put the debit card and the money just comes out.
All right, it
Well,
appears out of nowhere.
Where?
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
It's coming out of your money. Do you have money?
Yes.
Yeah, and the idea of working too. I mean, do you address that? The fact that some of them need to get income in order to live. Money doesn't come out of mommy and daddy forever.
Correct.
That you have to understand, and that you have to understand that when you get paid, some of that is going to go to taxes.
Correct.
And,
Yes.
And taxes are a big part of your life, and figures aren't what they seem.
Right.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So do you get some resilience? I mean, resistance?
I've never encountered resistance. Anybody I've ever talked to about the program thinks it's a wonderful thing.
Yeah.
And if any of your viewers are interested in the program, they can go to
Kent Line.
yflfoundation.org And
YFLfoundation.org.
And you can watch a wonderful video. It not only shows interviews with students who've received scholarship funding, it also interviews teachers and students who have gone through the YFL program within the school systems, and it's done amazing things for a lot of communities.
So I have to ask you this.
Yes.
Did your situation ever get resolved?
Yes. Yes. I'm happy to say that through the FES program, our protection plan membership cleared up the negative issues that were on our credit reports.
And you were able to show that it wasn't your...
Yes, correct.
That's good.
Yes, it was wonderful.
I mean,
yes.
There's people who just feel that they're ruined, done. But there is a way to rectify some. If someone steals your identity,
right,
or steals your credit in some way, you have repercussions. Now, what are some of those repercussions? Who do you run to right away? I mean, who do you go to and say, "Hey, I've been robbed"?
Well, what we recommend is be proactive. Don't wait until it happens.
Yeah.
Get protected first.
Yeah.
Get your identity theft protection first. It's almost like we have insurance on everything else. Identity theft protection is identity insurance.
So there is a thing called identity insurance?
It's identity theft protection is basically identity insurance. They don't call it that, but that's basically what it is. You're protecting your own
so
identity.
If someone steals your identity and they take out $100,000 in your name, you are covered.
You're not only are you covered, but hopefully that is caught as it's happening. So with our identity theft protection, you get alerts when something major is going on. You're going to be alerted, and sometimes it's as simple as an app on your phone is going to alert you. Say you set it up to over a certain amount of money is taken out or a certain amount of money is charged, you're going to get an alert about that. So you're going to know whether or not you're making that purchase or you're making that.
Now, is some of that like automatic? Case in point, my daughter lives 150 miles away from me. I was visiting her. I went in and I made a purchase, and I got a phone call from my bank. And they said, "Hey, did you make this purchase?"
That's great.
I said, "Yes." And they said, "All right, just checking."
Yes.
I was like, "Whoa,
Yes,
I'm covered."
Yes, it depends on the card that you have. It depends on the bank that you have. Some of them do that that automatically on something out of state. Sometimes it's a matter, again, of the amount. If they see a particular amount, that sets them to
I
want to
actually
alert.
got yelled at by my bank because I went to England and didn't tell them.
Oh, okay.
And I made a purchase in England, and they contacted me. First, they sent me an email, and they said, "Are you in England?" I said, "Yeah." And they said, "All right, because there was a purchase made in England, and we just wanted to make sure you made it." And I was like, "Man, I'm staying with this bank." So banks do that.
Yes,
But
some of them do.
some banks don't, so you need to be covered.
Right. You want to be covered.
Just in case, because
Absolutely, because you never know what's going to happen.
Oh.
The current statistic is an identity is stolen every 2 seconds in this country.
I believe it. And online, the stupid things, I'll tell you, I was online, I get a phone call, and someone in a foreign accent said, if you are online, your account may be compromised. You need to give us this information. And I said, I don't need to give you anything.
Absolutely.
I says, as a matter of fact, this call is being taped. So could you clearly say your name slowly? They gave me an expletive and hung up. And they cursed at me. And I said, oh my God, this was definitely a fake.
Right. And people aren't necessarily going after you as an individual. We hear all the time about different companies. Walmart was hacked. Target was hacked. The IRS was hacked.
Every day.
So people's identities can be stolen in that way as well.
Any minute.
So you want to
you
be
really need to cover
protected.
yourself.
Absolutely. You want to be protected.
So your job is to educate adults and children
Correct.
on the world of finance.
Correct.
It's not as simple as it seems.
Correct. And if you don't know the rules, if your parents don't know what the rules of the system are,
Then
and you're
children-
not being taught that in school, where are you going to get the information? And yes, you can go to Google and you can look up information, but do you know the source of that information? When you're just
I
going
know.
online, who is it who's teaching you this
Yeah.
information?
I mean, I actually have gotten emails from companies that were not the companies, where I called and said, "Why did you call me?" And they said, "We didn't call you."
Right.
I said, "What? What?" And they said, "No." I said, "Well, listen, the person said this." And they said, "Hang up."
Yes.
And I said, "Wow." So it's real. It's
Yes.
very real. And
Definitely.
it scares me with the kids too, and my grandkids who go online and they're getting these messages that they're believing, and they actually think that someone's out there. This is not our parents' world.
No, certainly not.
This is a new world. And this whole idea of all of these computers and online scams that and phone scams, things that I knew about 50 years ago, people are still doing them.
It's true.
Calling up, asking questions to fish and to get information from you so that they could rob you.
Correct. Yes.
So
Yes, it's unfortunate. And
Yeah.
it leads people to have problems on their credit reports. The other issue is we've been in the business, FES has been in the business for 15 years, and we're finding that 4 out of 5 credit reports have errors on them. So it's not even just purposeful fraudulent information, it's misinformation is out there as well. And if you're not looking at your credit reports on a regular basis, you may not know that that information
Yeah,
is even
it's
on
even
there.
on there. And you're getting refused for a loan. I mean, also, there's people that don't realize that when you call these credit companies to find out what your credit is, it costs you. That it counts against your
It does.
credit.
Correct.
It's always fascinated me how the law protects some of these people, and loans that where people are paying 27% interest on a credit card. Years ago, if a loan shark on the street tried to do that,
That's right.
you'd be in jail.
That's right.
That's what loan sharks did.
Right.
A quarter of the loan was interest. And what children don't realize sometimes is you're paying back these loans, but you're only paying the interest,
Right.
and you still owe that money when you're done.
Right. Yeah, it pays to get educated. And we try to get into the schools in middle school so that these kids are savvy by the time they're getting into high school. And by the time they're starting to have independence and starting to have jobs of their own, so that they know what to do with their finances,
they
and they
need-
know what using money actually means.
And I think that you're 100% right in saying that many of their parents don't even know.
Correct.
And that their parents are in this trap. And that, like paying a 30-year mortgage, if you paid it in 20 years, you'd be literally saving thousands of dollars.
Correct.
But they say, well, you know what? I can afford this payment. Doesn't mean you're not getting ripped off. It just means that you can afford that payment. Imagine what you could afford if you weren't paying those thousands of dollars.
Right, and that's why we teach budgeting.
Yeah.
That's why to adults and to children, the program is very inclusive to cover all aspects of your personal finance. I was talking with a friend of mine the other day who I network with, and her son just graduated with a degree in finance.
Wow.
And he was talking with his mom, and he said, I have a degree in finance, and I've still never in all of my education been taught the basics of personal finance and personal success.
Yeah.
And it's just something that's missing from our school system.
When people go for a loan, they don't look at the bottom line. You're borrowing $25,000 and you're given 5 years to pay it. How much are you paying back as compared to what you borrowed? And some people freak when they look and they go, $6,000? I'm paying $6,000 in 5 years? Where's that $6,000? goes to the people you borrowed it from. That's what it cost you to borrow those $25,000. So they don't see it that way, and sometimes they have to understand what it is. Just like the bottom line, if you go buy $100 suit, it costs you $108, not $100. And there's taxes, there's things that you've got to know.
Right.
In your paycheck, I'm always amazed when I see a young person get a paycheck and go, "Whoa,
Right. Where'd all the money go?"
wait a minute.
Right.
I'm supposed to get $500 and I got $380.
Right.
Where's the other 100? They owe me 120.
Right.
No.
Yep.
It went to this. It went, and they don't understand FICA, and they don't understand school tax, and they don't understand this tax and that
Right.
tax.
And I think the credit portion is something that many people don't, many adults don't even understand
Yeah.
what goes into the
just do
creation
it.
of a credit score.
Yeah.
What are the basics? What are the things? It's not just whether or not you pay your bills on time.
Yeah.
It's your debt to income ratios. It's
And
many things.
And
it's
a lot
your
of
credit
these
history.
companies, yeah, they're controlling what you can and cannot spend. It's like I work with writers all the time, and writers say to me, "Should I self-publish, or should I go to a traditional publisher?" And with a lot of them, I say, you have to understand that there are things called gatekeepers, and these gatekeepers decide who gets published and who doesn't. And it's not really your writing, but it's whether you can get your writing accepted by certain people. And these gatekeepers exist in finance. They tell you whether you can buy a house or not.
Correct.
Yet on the other hand, you say, it's a $300,000 house. How else am I supposed to get it? I don't have $300,000, and if I tried to save it, I'd be 90.
Right. And that's why you want to get educated, because if you educate yourself on the basics of building a good credit score, there are things that you can do. There are tips and tricks that we can teach you that
That's
can maximize that credit score so that you can qualify for the best possible interest rates and save the most money.
Yeah, and that there's things out there that you don't know. For example, I forget what the initials are now, but a lender can actually charge you insurance to guarantee that they're not going to lose money if you walk out on the loan. And if your credit score isn't where it's supposed to be, they can charge you more.
Correct.
And you're actually paying so that they don't lose money.
Right.
You do,
Right.
but they don't.
Yes. The
And they
lower your
protect
credit
themselves.
score is,
Yeah.
the more
Yeah.
you're going to pay for just about everything.
And so there's a lot of things out there that for example, you want to borrow $100,000. You have to pay interest on that. It could be anywhere from 3% to 23%. But if you put $100,000 of your money in the bank, you get about 0.5% interest. So what they pay you to borrow your money isn't even close to what you're paying them to borrow theirs.
That's correct. So the better educated you are and the more you
That's
know
right.
about the
And
system.
these are the little things you need to know.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And you also need to know that with finance, you have to shop just the way you would at a store.
Right.
You could go to one store and pay $12 for an item, go one block down and pay $8 for the same thing.
And at that same time, though, as you mentioned earlier, you have to be careful when you're doing that and you're shopping around, because if your credit score is being pulled by this place and that place and that place,
it's lowering
it's
your
lowering
score.
your credit score as that's happening.
And it works in favor of the lender.
It does,
And
yes.
why?
That's true.
Because a lot of times the wealthy are protected in our government.
Yes.
And they are. I mean, we have
We
to
are,
admit it.
we
you
are
know?
protected by the Fair Credit Reporting Act. That was put into
Yeah.
law in 1971. The thing is, the credit bureaus are obligated to verify the information that goes onto your credit reports.
Right.
The thing is, they don't get paid to do that.
Yeah.
And in fact, they pay fines to the government because they don't do that.
Right.
The thing that the Fair Credit Reporting Act does for us is it allows us to, when we see something that is incorrect,
Right.
we're allowed to dispute it.
Yeah.
And that's where we're protected, because the credit reporting agencies are paid when a lender pulls our credit report and when a credit card company reports your payment information to them.
Yeah.
They don't get paid to verify our information. So we really have to be our own advocates.
Yeah. So all these little things about finance are not so little.
Correct.
And they could hurt us.
Yes.
And your job is to educate people about that.
Correct.
Both adults and children.
Correct.
So, I hate to do this to you. You have about 1 minute and 45 seconds to tell us the bottom line of why you're here.
I am here because I wish that I knew in my 20s what I have learned in my 40s with
And it
regard to
wasn't easy to
personal
learn.
finance. And it's not. It was really through the school of hard knocks. And if I can educate other adults or young people and prevent them from making the same mistakes that I've made, I would be very satisfied.
So here's
Be
what
very
Lisa
happy.
is saying to us. She's saying, you're breaking your back earning money for your family. Don't let anybody steal it.
Correct.
The bottom line is, there are people out there who are trying to take your hard-earned dollars. Some of it, they're doing rightfully so. They have a right to earn whatever they earn. Some of the things they don't have a right to earn. They're robbing you. So, be educated. Learn what you need to learn. Lisa, thank you for doing what you do. Keep doing what you do. Certainly keep reaching out to the children. Thank you for working on these scholarships for kids. Do what you do, and do what you do. Tune into this station and watch all the wonderful people and all of their wonderful passions. Thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me.